But back then you also had Andre in the band.
Right.
Can you maybe explain to us how did these guys share the guitar duties? What was Andre's part of the whole playing and recording thing? So he was a guitar player and keyboards, and he was also a keyboard player.
No, that was Jerry that played the piano. Yeah, Jerry was the keyboard player. To be honest, Andre really didn't even care about the whole vampire concept. He actually thought it was stupid. And really, at the end of the day, because we had a pretty big fallout with the guy, and he's got his side of the story, I got my side of the story. Really, all he was concerned about was showing off his abilities to get a better gig somewhere along the line. So he thought the whole vampire thing was stupid, and he really had nothing to do with the songwriting or anything. Although he did write "The Curse Has Passed Away" musically, but he had other ideas for it. But I took it and I turned it into the end of the vampire story, where Dracula finally gets killed. But he didn't really care for the whole vampire concept. It wasn't in his thing. And so, I mean, that's all I got to say about him. I don't really want to say anything bad about him. We've made up since then. I'm sure that he's, he still keeps up with what we're doing. But if somebody asked me, hey, how do I wouldn't be able to tell you how to even get a hold of Andre. I don't know. I don't even know where he lives anymore. Yeah, so it was kind of a weird thing like that.
We have many mutual friends. So to say that is ridiculous. You know what's going on with me. I've got new music out with Randy Burns and everything. You don't want people to know that. You don't want people to know about it, so you pretend not to. After all these years, you don't even know that I played keyboards on the album because you weren't around. You didn't have anything to do with the music, James. But you think everybody loves Nosferatu because of the vampire theme. It's the music, stupid. It's the fucking music. And certainly Frank and Jerry, everybody contributed to every song. None of those songs would be the same if you remove any person. So Larry had 3 songs on side 1. I had 2. That takes up all of side 1. It's not Larry's album, and it sure as hell isn't yours. These 2 guys did not make this album by themselves. It really pisses me off because, they've been talking shit forever. James has been slandering me for a long time. It's nothing new. Okay, so anyway, you say we made up after that sometime. Well, let's talk about that. How did that go? So, like I said, you were slandering me on the internet for years. In the late 90s, I start my own business, and I'm in Florida. I hit a really good run, and I was making tons of money. And we got reconnected because we had a mutual friend that was working for me. And I flew you to Florida, and I gave you money to get an apartment. I gave you money when you asked for it to get a car. I bought you lots of lunches, etc. And anytime you needed money for a bill, you always came to me to help you pay it. And you did pay those things back out of the paychecks because I gave you a job. And anyway, and you weren't exactly a great worker. But I had a lot of money, so I just overlooked it and kept you around for the laughs. You were definitely always joking, just like still to this day, always joking. But anyway, that ended because money got tight for me. And then when that happens, a sinking ship brings all the rats to the surface or whatever. So I had a lot of people hanging on me like fleas. And I asked you to help me by paying me back some of that money, the $2,000 that you said you would pay me back with your publishing money and all this bullshit, which I knew was not going to happen. I'll never forget this conversation with you. I was telling you that, I was having trouble, and you said to me, maybe you should have got a more reasonable car. I had a Mercedes SL 600, which is a V12 Silver Arrow 50th anniversary. Beautiful car, the panoramic glass top, convertible, all this stuff. It was about $130,000 car. And so he was taking a shot at me because my business started to hit a rough spot and I needed people who owed me money to give me some back. And that conversation got real ugly real quick, and it ended with him threatening me, saying, I don't know you shit or something, and then saying, don't fuck with me because I know all about your business. Like he was going to try to do damage to me and my family business, and I'll never forget that phone call. I can just picture you like a sniveling chihuahua ready to bite my ankle. The hate and the ugly that came out of your mouth to me on the phone, the person who loaned you that money, the person who gave you a job, the person who did all that other shit for you. If we ever meet in person, we're going to have a good talk about that. As we were leading up to recording Nosferatu, I had been working on the instrumental, and pretty early on, Larry started ignoring it and not learning it and just blowing me off. And looking back, I know he had in his mind that he was not going to let it get on the album. But I was pretty determined. So I just kept working on it. And once I realized he wasn't going to do it, I practiced both guitar parts, the harmonies all the way through, which was a lot of work. It was a tremendous amount of work. And I was terrified that he was going to yank it. And I thank God that Bill Matoyer, when he heard it, he says, no, we're putting this on the album. And he saved my ass. He really did. And if you like Perseverance and Desperation, I'm not in love with it, but if you like it, you can thank Bill Matoyer. He saved that song from being shut out by the gatekeeper. They pulled some other power shit as we led up to that too. The Swirling Madness was a song I'd had for years and years and years. And without even asking me or having a band meeting to vote on it or anything, him and James just replaced the lyrics and made it a whole other thing. And I kind of think those were moves that were being made so that they'd get more publishing or they would get paid more or whatever. Or maybe my stuff sucked. I don't know, but nobody got to vote on it. They just did it. So there was negative vibes rolling into recording Nosferatu. Okay. They make it like what did he say? We had a terrible falling out or something like that. No, we didn't. Frank and I were working on some other songs, and this is not my side of the story. This is just the truth. It's plain and simple. And Frank would back it up too. Frank and I were working on some rock songs on the side. They got mad about it, and they called Frank and said, we want to have a meeting, and you guys need to choose. Stop working on that other music, or you're going to have to quit the band. And so Frank and I looked at each other, and we said, fuck them. We said, screw those guys. So they came over, and it was like 2-minute long meeting. James actually said exactly pretty much what I just said. Stop doing that or get out. And we both said, we're quitting. We're done. And Larry was really mad. I don't even think he said anything. I thought we could still be friends. I didn't realize there was going to be all this shit talking and everything because we didn't fight. You know what I mean? They were getting irritated at me because I wasn't behaving like a hired gun when I was never told I was going to be a hired gun. You can't be a hired gun if nobody's paying you. You know what I mean? I sweat, I sacrificed, and I gave, and I bled just like they did to make that record happen. I will give him credit for telling the truth about one thing. I thought the vampire stuff was stupid. And the degree that he's taken it to in the last so many years or whatever is really stupid. He looks like a complete fool. To me, he makes the band look ridiculous. And but if they like it, more power to him, each to his own, But I'd be embarrassed to be on stage with that Fruit Loop. He's just too much. He loves himself tremendously, and it's irritating. Now, Larry, I'll always respect him. I don't appreciate some of the things that he said or whatever, but, he was an important guitar player to me, not just in my, getting in Helstar, et cetera, but he influenced me a lot. He was my favorite guitarist for a while. Helstar was my favorite band. And when I joined the band, it wasn't that because they were doing me a favor. they didn't know me, and they wouldn't have done anything out of their way to help me. I got in the band because I was the absolute best person for the job at that time. Helstar, again, had been my favorite band. I knew almost all the songs off of Burning Star and quite a bit of Remnants. And I actually probably one of the very few, if any, who have actually learned the harmonies correctly for like Burning Star and Run with the Pack. I've seen so many other guitar players just brutalize those harmonies playing them incorrectly. And the main reason I played them correct is because I learned them from Tom Rogers. God bless Tom Rogers. I've tried to find him. If anybody knows where Tom's at, please help me reconnect with him. He was a good friend of mine. He was a great songwriter, and I hated to see him leave Helstar. I really liked him. And it bothers me that I never hear his name. They don't mention him. They don't mention Hector, Paul Medina, nobody. They don't give anybody any credit once they're gone. Which, I understand, but I mean, if you're going to bask in the glory of Burning Star, you didn't have Burning Star without those other guys. They helped make that album what it is. So it's kind of shitty, I think, the way that you handle that, you guys. I see Larry on the Talk Louder podcast with Jason McMaster, who is just great, awesome dude. And I'm listening to them talk about it. And when he brings up Nosferatu, Larry gets frustrated and says, "It's my shit." You know what I mean? And dude, that was not your shit. Your shit's on there, but there's other people there too, and you're complaining about how you think it's 3 different albums because Jerry and I contributed. Well, maybe that's why people love it so much, is it has other people's hands in it besides just your own. You're great, but you're not greater off on your own without other people who are quality contributing. Personally, I think you guys went straight downhill after we left the band. I know you're doing better now, and good. I hope you sell 1 million records. The more you sell, the better it is for me too. So high tide raises all boats and all that good stuff. So go sell 1 million. And the real truth is that Bill Metoyer is actually the hero of that album, because without him, it would have been a whole different ballgame. There's just no way that it would have been the same thing. So Bill really was able to take things and make them better than they would have been otherwise. That's he just was tremendous. If I had my way, I would never record without him, because he was excellent at getting the best out of me and making me do it again when I wanted to give up on what I was trying to do and it wasn't working out or whatever. He was excellent. Just a tremendous support. I love that guy. Very thankful to him again for, the instrumental never would have made the album without him. And he did such an amazing job with what we gave him, which wasn't amazing, I don't think. But he made it way better. Well, I want to thank all you for hearing me out. I want to thank the Slovenian podcaster that brought me this opportunity. And I want to thank Bill Metoyer, most of all, because he's the one who made that album so great that people still praise us after all these years for that work. And thank you, fans, friends. Thank you for keeping the love for the music alive.
That's it. I've been waiting for this since Nixon.
There we go. Bring it. I got a new pacemaker. I can go all day.
Okay. Come on.